another one.
So this question is a QA career possible in Canada? Most QAs I see are usually international. So this question is going to break a few hearts. But the answer is yes, a QA career is possible in Canada. However, it depends on what that QA career actually is. One of the things that is very hard to watch is that, like, oh God. Okay. What's hard for me to see, right, is so many people will go to a boot camp here in the United States and they'll pay however much money to like take a boot camp on manual testing, right? And then they go to apply for a bunch of manual testing jobs, and it's like the saturation in the boot camp market for QA for manual testing is so high now. Because like maybe 10 years ago, yeah, you'd find a job like that. But now the fact that companies are shifting towards automation, manual testing is not that big of a thing anymore, and that's why so many jobs get offshored to like other countries for QA for manual testing. It's not so that's why I say it depends on the job that you're going to do, because monotonous work, like you're just executing the same testing over and over and over again, the same process over and over again. There's not necessarily much thought and creativity to doing that, right? But if you are like going to be like a QA engineer or something like that, like learning automation, learning different technologies, learning the cloud, then you have a better chance. I don't know where you are in Canada and stuff like that, but I mean, there's companies in Canada, of course, right? So it just depends on what industry of QA you're going into. There's a lot of different type of QAs. Like there's like performance testing, there's automation testing, there's infrastructure, there's QA architecture, so many things. There's even QA for like cybersecurity and stuff like that. It does depend on like where you are in Canada. I don't know what the job market is like in Canada, but as far as the international part, a lot of jobs get outsourced because people are asking for $50 minimum wage. You know, that might be part of it. So that's why it's like there's some jobs that you can't really outsource, right? Like for me, for instance, if I was a company here in the United States and I needed like cybersecurity, I wouldn't outsource my cybersecurity professionals, right? But if I need just like manual QA testers, then I might outsource that. Or the cost to get all of those manual QA testers doing like testing a bunch of stuff, I could hire like one or two QA engineers, and that would get a lot more stuff tested on a regular basis. Because if those two QA engineers, right, they can write me. You know, while you're live streaming, somebody just decides to print something. You know, yeah, whatever. Anyways, if I can get those two QA engineers to automate what 10, 20, 30, 40 manual testers would do, and I can run those tests every single day in like 30 minutes, maybe, depending on the test, then I wouldn't really need to outsource it, right? But the cost of getting those manual testers here is going to be so much more. So that is why, like, it depends on the role that you'll be doing, right? So, for example, with like I said, like, you know, if you're going to be doing something more technical, something that it's not easily like, not that they can't do it internationally, but it's more complex and it takes more thought, and you might want, like, because if they're international and they're like in a totally different time zone, the time that you might be working here would be totally different from the time that they're working there, and it's going to be harder to collaborate. So that's a lot of times that's why they want people locally, so that you can actually work closer, you can work in the sprints and stuff like that, you know. So like, can you get a QA job in Canada? Of course you can, right? Depending on the market. But what type of QA job are you actually looking for? That is the question, my friend. And I think let's see what Mitch says here, because this is probably related, right? So Mitch says, but the real boot camps are bad because people are not actually studying, especially the technical boot camps, data, cloud, software engineer, etc. So I'll take that. See, that's a different question, right? I'm going to answer that separately, right? So let's wrap this question up.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.